something that seldom, if ever, is actually said by Paul. And in case the new perspectives were unclear on their approach to justification, Robert Gundry, who's a scholar in residence at Westmont College, has argued, quote, "The doctrine that Christ's righteousness is imputed to believing sinners needs to be abandoned." And, quote, "The doctrine of imputation is not even biblical. Still less is it essential to the gospel." End quote. So even though Gundry himself would say that, I'm not really a new perspective guy. I see little value in the new perspective on Paul. In fact, he wrote an essay called "The Inferiority of the New Perspective on Paul." He would say, I'm not really a new perspective guy, but then in the same collection of articles, there's one called "The Non-Imputation of Christ's Righteousness." So he's by saying that, still putting him in the camp of the new perspective movement. He says the doctrine of imputation is not even biblical. And this position, which is an alternative to the orthodox teaching on justification, like its Roman Catholic counterpart, significantly blurs the line between justification and sanctification, and effectively blends them into one. And this is because, according to the new perspective on Paul, justification includes liberation from sin. Not just you as a sinner, still a sinner, being declared not guilty, but that you're actually liberated from sin in justification. So they're bringing justification and sanctification together. And listen, as soon as justification becomes more than God's declaration of our innocence on the basis of Jesus' blood and righteousness, it at that point ceases to be justification. It's not if anymore. It turns Christianity into some kind of system of works righteousness, however subtle, where our participation with God through our obedience effectively, if not explicitly, becomes the ground of the assurance of our acceptance with God. In other words, it drives us to say, well, what really gives me assurance? Is it the blood and righteousness of Christ, or is it my obedience?